actually, this week, I was not even planning on being here. And a wonderful anti-geoengineering person named Jolie Diane, who I actually had on a few weeks ago, volunteered to take my show. But seeing as I'm here, we're just going to do it together. So, Jolie, how are you doing?
Hey, Brian, how's it going? I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. You, yeah, I'm glad
I'm so glad that you offered to do my show. That's that's a big a favor to offer, and I really appreciate it. But like you say, I'm here, so we might as well do it together. My plans sort of fell apart, unfortunately, and but I really wish Matt Landman and the great crew doing the Global Chemtrail Summit all the best wishes. I think they're going to have a great turnout.
Yeah.
And it's just a long way to go, and I don't really want to fly. So, but anyways, hey, so I was chatting with you earlier in the week, and you are just doing some amazing, fantastic globe-trotting work, and I think we should share. Why don't you just tell them a bit about, first of all, because people may not remember that show, and not everybody listens every week. Talk to us about the Civilian Action Committee?
It's the Civilian Action Team.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. It's the Worldwide Civilian Action Team, and we have 14 nations with us so far, and we just started this a couple weeks ago, so we're kind of like, wow, what just happened? But there's just a lot of activists all around the world who are doing the work. And the countries we have so far are the Netherlands, Canada, Ireland, Switzerland, South Africa, UK, Italy, France, Norway, New Zealand, Spain, US, Brazil, and Australia. So, yeah, we had a recent action on Monday, which is our first worldwide action, focused in the UK and the US. The UK team, with Olga Rafa and the amazing crew there for Team UK, presented papers at Downing Street, and a petition with over 5,000 signatures. And she's one of the people that worked with us to start the Civilian Action Team. And so it went really well. They had a good turnout there on Monday. And then what we did in conjunction with their event here in the U.S. was we went and visited offices in D.C., in Congress. We went to 50 offices, and we gave notice to Maryland, the state of Maryland, which had already been in the process of being put on notice to, and then California.
No, okay. Explain a bit more about what's this notice.
What's this notice bit about? Okay, well, what we did was we started a campaign around because we're trying to stop geoengineering, and it's been ongoing for years, as we know. And what I did here in Maryland is I just, got a few lab tests done from snow in January and February, and they all came back with the SRMG aluminum footprint. And aluminum is just one element that's in the snow, but it shouldn't be in there at all. And all 3 tests came back positive. So I said, okay, there we go. That's all we need, because we know that it's consistently coming down in the snow. If it's 3 times in a row, you can say with logic that this is happening. So
SRM, explain that term, because not everybody knows this stuff.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. It's called Solar Radiation Management Geoengineering, and SRM for short. Okay. And I just say SRMG because it's so much shorter than just trying to give out the whole. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So the SR, we say we're just trying to get it a soundbite, because that's what it is. It's, we're finding in our snow and in our rain samples the aluminum SRMG footprint, and it shouldn't be there. And so instead of having to prove that they're doing geoengineering and they're doing this and they're doing that, now they have to prove that they're not doing it. doggone it, it's in the rain. And they can't take that away. So what we did was we said this is a human and environmental health and safety hazard. And as per our own regulations here in Maryland and in California and the United States we have a whole set of rules that apply to the country. And sulfur dioxide is one thing that's not allowed. And qualifies as air pollution, and aluminum oxide is actually identified here in Maryland specifically. So what we're saying is we know this is happening, and now it's incumbent upon the state to do their job and fulfill their function and their role, which is to protect the environment and the people that live here. So again, we are saying it is incumbent upon the state. So therefore, that's why we went with our documentation. We gave them some lab test results and let them know that this is just one of hundreds of tests that we have. That's recent. And we're saying, yeah, we need you as our elected representatives to step in here and do your job and protect the public health and safety. That's your role. And so we did that in 50 offices, mostly California. California has, in the House of Representatives, we have the House of Representatives and the Senate. And this is a state issue. We have to go to the state first. And so in the House of Representatives, California has 53 representatives. Each state has a different amount according to how many people they have. So Maryland only had 8. So we got to all the Maryland offices, and we got to about 30 or so of the California offices. And basically what we did was...
What city is this? Washington, D.C.?
Washington, D.C., yeah, the Congress. So, and this is what we've been doing before. I mean, this is an ongoing campaign, because what we've learned is you can't just call your representatives once and think that they're going to, respond. They are not. They have people answering the phone, so they never have to talk to you, ever. It's kind of funny if it wasn't so tragic. But anyway, I'm here because that's all I do is I want to be that thorn. And so I'm very... I want to do that. That's what I live for every day. So anyway, we went in there and we were able to present 50 offices with these the lab test results, and then we showed them, our demands is that we want to ban this, and we said, look, Rhode Island has legislation in their house, and it is to ban geoengineering. We want you to do this. Here it is. Okay, that was our demand, and our other demand is that we do not support any UN involvement. We do not support the climate action plans. Okay, we want our legislators to step up, and here's the bottom line. That these are federal programs, but hang on, they might be just UN NATO programs, which are deliberately violating pre-existing U.S. state and federal laws, according to our own air pollution standards and protections. So let me say that again. We have UN programs that are violating deliberately U.S. law and state law. So that's what we're saying. And we went in there, and it was a sobering, it's a sobering presentation. And then, of course, the key is in the follow-up. So now...
So you actually, no, let me just slow you down for a sec. You had a meeting, I know, before, after my first show with you, you had a meeting with... was it somebody from Maryland?
Department of Environment. We had a meeting with the Deputy Governor Tablada, and several of his colleagues, like 5 of his colleagues.
What state was that in?
Maryland.
Okay, yeah. So I got it right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I'm focusing on Maryland since I'm in this area, and that's what they want to do, is they want to serve their constituents. And then I'm also a resident in California, so I was able to serve my representative in California as well. And again, this is like an ongoing campaign. I've been doing this since I got here last year. But again, it's like the hammer technique. It's just like we have to keep hammering and hammering and hammering. We need people to get on the phone and talk about how they want their state to adopt similar legislation to what Rhode Island is doing. And really, because people are, at this point, it looks like they're getting ready to get moving away from the fence, and indeed these programs are happening again, because we're saying, look, prove it's not happening. All the things that they're saying that it was, aluminum, sulfur, that's in our precipitation, and that's what we're pushing our legislators. We're saying, look, we don't want to do this climate action or this UN climate plans because they're pushing the geoengineering. All the NATO states, all the NATO UN countries are getting geoengineered. Why? Okay, and that's the question. And why is Obama? He's faithful. His loyalty is to the UN. I'm saying, I'm the only candidate running for president that is calling for the removal and the prosecution of Obama and all the war criminals. George Bush. I mean, did we forget about Cheney? Did we forget about 9/11? Did we forget George Bush was appointed, not elected? So it's like, I mean, for me, I'm an activist, and there's nobody to vote for. We can't fix the system with Band-Aids. I mean, we have a serious problem that the UN is already...
I love you. I love what you're doing, Jolie. I mean, you're going for it. I love people who are so committed. Yeah, Jolie is also running for president. That is so cool.
Yeah. Well, it started as a joke. Thank you. And now it's getting to be a serious joke. What can I say?
Well, I mean, everything you do in life, you learn from. So if you have time to run for president too, why not?
Well, it's kind of what I'm doing, and I don't see anyone else that wants to ban geoengineering. Have you heard of anyone?
The only high-level political leader who's mentioned it, who's actually in office, some of them leave and talk about it a bit. We have a defense minister here who's like a great activist who's talked about it. But, excuse me, Vladimir Putin's mentioned it a few times, and I think...
But he's not running for president of the United States.
No, but I think he's going to be one of our great allies in the future. Yeah.
I just will hesitate to make any conclusions around that, but I'm all open to diplomacy, and I think that I would be a way more effective leader in terms of creating like stability and peace on the planet than any of the other candidates. Yeah. Because I feel like we have to eliminate the CIA and the terrorist network on the planet. And that's here in D.C., isn't it? And so, that's what I'm saying. It's like to change the system, we got to get in the game. Like it or not, we can't stand on the sidelines and complain about it. And I think we were talking about that earlier. I mean, with especially our sisters and brothers of faith and those of consciousness that are like walking the path of compassion and consciously practicing, walking the path of compassion. I mean, I think that when these brothers and sisters of ours of faith and in different faiths and religions, these are our allies as well. I don't know that the politicians are as much as these people that have the capacity to recognize what's going on, maintaining a neutrality. And that's not healthy. We need people that are dialed in, like especially people in academe. I mean, I've been pleading with people in academe, in the law. Come on, it's like it's so compartmentalized in our systems that, really you're just going to be that myopic. You have such a huge brain and you can understand law and you can understand the principles of higher consciousness, but you can't, you need to get in the game because, they are trying to wipe us out. If you don't think so, and I guess you might be watching too much TV. I don't know.
Well, I say it's always the money god. People are chasing the money god, and they're very focused. They're very me focused, and
I know
they barely look outside their office or their house window.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's another thing that I'm doing in my platform that's like totally different. I mean, I'm going to radically shift what we're doing in terms of like with the military-industrial complex and these, we're not going to do these monopolies because that's not constitutional. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to eliminate the IRS and the Federal Reserve and all these illegal agencies and, we're going to slash the Pentagon budget. We're not going to get rid of the military. We're going to just have the military defend us and do what they're supposed to do and protect us and also help us to, to build. And
I was thinking today, it'd be nice if we had a rule. You cannot actually go into battle until you're age 30. You spend 10 years about international politics, in shape, mediation, how to deal with anger, how to deal with conflicted situations. But actually train our soldiers to be the most intelligent people on the planet, and try
Yeah.
to choose very intelligent people, like kind of like what the Shaolin monk did. They overcame their oppressors by becoming strong and intelligent and spiritual
Mm.
all at the same time. Because these are your best warriors.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good point. And further than that, in terms of like creating the context for a radical shift in the paradigm and the hierarchical structure, like pretty much flipping that paradigm. So what I hope to create and what I intend to do is have a public trust created out of, like, instead of a tax system, no, everybody's going to have a guaranteed income, and everybody's going to have housing, education, healthcare, everything. Because there's no reason why we can't. See, because right now the system is invested in punishing and abuse. And it doesn't have to be that way. We're going to turn all the prison systems into universities and the high-tech organic growing farms. Legalize hemp and encourage growing for all purposes. We're going to stop the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, this is the pharmaceutical in Monsanto. Here's a perfect example of how we're going to create the public trust, because people are like, well, how are you going to do that? Well, here, it's easy. We're just going to seize the companies and corporations that are not paying taxes or are polluting or are destructive, and we will seize and liquidate and dissolve those assets. And we will put those into a public trust whereby everyone, each individual, will have a guaranteed income. So you'll have your whatever ATM card. It doesn't, let's say like 10 grand a month. I don't even know what it would be, but your needs would be met. And so it would just be the opposite principle of what we have now. Because when I look around and the way my life has gone, because I worked for 30 years and I don't have a retirement. I'm just, I'm going to take care of my mom. I don't know what's going to happen. If I win for president, I know I'll be okay, because I'm going to create the system so that it's going to support the people and not steal from us. I won't allow that anymore. So I'm just going to take a sledgehammer, honestly, and we're going to create a system where the people can enjoy life. And I think people will be more productive because they'll be able to, first of all, we have to transform our military and transform our industries to clean up. So we're going to industrialize cleanup. We're going to clean up the oceans. We have the technology to do that. We're going to clean up the land. We have the technology to do that. We can do every single thing we need to do to turn around the planet, but we have got to get rid of the vortex of evil. And that is sitting in the UN, in the Vatican, in the Queen's throne, and here in D.C. And we're going to just take a sledgehammer to all of it. We don't need it because human civilization can organize. We can organize ourselves in such a spectacular fashion that is just going to be beyond comprehension, beyond imagine. And I'm not thinking that this is like. I just think that this is in the realm of possible. I mean, and who knows what's possible, but we have to make the world safe for children. And this idea that we're allowed to continue with what is happening now, and you put Hillary Clinton, I can't wait. No way. She's the no hope solution. No, that's what Catherine Austin Fitz said.
God. She's the worst option.
You know what? Look at Chelsea Manning, and you know who this is. She exposed war crimes. It was Bradley Manning at first, and then there's a lot going on in that. That's a whole separate story. But anyway, this hero exposed war crimes, and she is sitting in prison now for 35 years for exposing war crimes. It was not classified information. It was data information. Anyway, she's sitting in prison. Why is Hillary Clinton running for president when she has given away information in this? I mean, she's made so much money for her foundation, on and on. And it's not just her, Bill Clinton. He sold secrets to the Chinese, man. I mean, we don't talk about the truth. We need to talk about the truth. That's what I want us to talk about. Let's get rid of these really disgusting and not acceptable institutions. I mean, again, it goes to this vortex of evil. And it's until we call that out, the CIA, we got to get rid of it. No one wants to say that, but
there's
that needs to be said.
14
needs to be said.
Agencies.
We do not need that system. That is a terrorist organization. And as president, We will not support any terrorists or any terrorist organizations, period. We're going to eliminate poverty, and then we won't have wars. That's the whole key, because what they're doing now is they're maintaining misery and poverty, and that's how you can have wars, because you have desperate people that will follow orders because they need to eat. Christ's sake. Yeah, I understand that. I'm not angry with, I can't.
The only job is to be hired as a soldier.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can feed your family.
Yeah. What are you going to do? And I have a message for the soldiers, because I'm almost 50 years old. And I'll tell you, I was a nanny for like 20 years, and I'm a music teacher. Okay, I love people. I'm a people person, and I know some soldiers. And so let me say hello to these soldiers that I know. I'm not going to say your names, but you know that I know that you're in there. Okay? I mean, these are kids that I took care of. Okay, and so we're talking about people, not statistics. I mean, the military will take people and chew them up and spit them out, and they don't care because it's a machine. But these are our kids. These are our sons, our daughters, our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers. We have to re-identify with the human family. That's the whole thing. That's the key, shifting the poverty. If we didn't have poverty and people had access to education and their basic needs met, and call that what you will. Some people will be like, oh, you, whatever. I don't know what socialism, communism. I don't know. I'm not big on words. You know what we know. If you do no harm. Labels. Yeah, you do no harm. You do not steal, and the golden rule is very, very simple. We do not have to rewrite or reinvent the wheel. Nothing. But it's like, this is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from, look, we're taking care of families here. And everywhere I go, people are struggling to get food on their table, that, they're getting slapped with these taxes for not having health care. How crazy is that? They can't get the health care they need because the pharmaceuticals and the insurance companies all made deals. And so they're getting protected, and we don't get health care. You get death care here. They need you to be sick so they can maintain their business, the pharmaceutical industrial complex. I mean, it's a disaster in the vaccine industry. Are you kidding me? And Monsanto, Bill Gates, and et cetera. Yeah, these are perfect candidates and targets for the Diane administration, because we're going to seize their assets. And we're going to create a public trust. And we're going to smash and get rid of these systems that have kept us hostage, not for like 10 years, but for like centuries, hundreds of years. And that brings me to a really important book that I think you probably know about it. But have you heard of this book? And I'm sure you have. It's called You Know Something is Wrong When: An American Affidavit of Probable Cause by Anna Maria Reisinger and James Clinton Belcher?
No, I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh my gosh. Okay, everyone needs to read this book. It's amazing. It was written by a judge from Alaska, and her husband.
Okay. No, I know what that is now.
You know, right?
Yes.
This.
Well, she's on the Liberty Beacon team. I was talking about the team of activists that I'm on their site. They have all men. We have some big plans.
Oh, that's fantastic, because I'm a huge
international plans. You're hopefully you'll be part of the team one day.
Well, I'd be elated. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a huge fan, and I got this book a few days ago, and it's just a treasure of information, and every American and everyone in the world should read it. But, basically it goes through the history and talks about how we have the structure and the architecture of the systems that have been in place for hundreds of years. And it's no one's fault. I mean, we just inherited debt and war from generations and generations, and not that many people are able to perceive what's happening and contextualize themselves in the larger picture, because, as we said, they're struggling with survival mode.
Well, I spent just this afternoon, I talked to a legal expert in common law. He also works for the Liberty Beacon. or contributes. Nobody works there. It's just everybody gives. It's called open source, open concept. Everybody helps everybody. It's like a gift economy, but it's a knowledge-based economy because we're trying to figure out how to get out of this mess we're in. And but yeah, no, there is an extremely complicated legal system, various types of laws. Everything you learn in school is basically a lie about history. It's it's just a huge mess, but it's all planned and it's all conceived to keep everybody in a fog. Mm-hmm. You see, and that's why we both said no. We got to simplify this system. I mean, it really doesn't need to be this complicated. Plus, people have to know that when you're born, you're basically your parents. When you sign a birth certificate, you're basically becoming a slave to the state. And it's all there in law, So there's a lot of things we have to teach people about how to defeat this system. Mm-hmm. But, man, it is complicated. But there is a way around it, and we were discussing the kind of phraseology you use, and if you know how to beat this system, it works. People do beat the system. Mm-hmm. It is not impregnable. It is not invincible. It can be taken down.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we have to have that attitude, too, that really competitor and, sports attitude where, the other team's bringing it, but what are you doing?
Yeah.
You playing because they're doing something? What are you going to do? Let's be clever. Let's work together. Come on, we can do it. Yeah.
Well, that is the first thing. You see, the first thing we lost when we got into this very complicated legal system and political system, economic system, is that we lost the family. We're a pack animal. We have a tribal consciousness. We're meant to live in small groups and to share. And through that experience, we become naturally giving, loving beings. Whereas in this system, we're all dependent on something else, money, laws, whatever. We don't connect anymore. That's all been lost.
Well, I feel like I've sort of been able to reconnect with that in terms of just in the last maybe year or so, just finally meeting my team, like you and
you now see. This is the key, and this is what I've been talking to everybody about a lot lately. Is you got to become an activist, because what an activist does, that the very act of being of participating in fixing this place, introduces you back into this consciousness, this tribal consciousness, which is what used to be the guiding force here. Okay. And when you have enough love to take your time and to focus your energy on something that's as important as saving the planet, you join the club, the love club.
Oh yeah, I love that.
yeah, and you've gone through that experience, and as have many of my guests. And it's really just it's a relearning thing that we have to teach people, and there's actually methodology. And I'm going to start a show doing that. I'm actually going to have somewhere, whether on this network or somewhere else, we're going to have a 15-hour slot every week, and we're going to it's all going to be on activism.
Oh, fantastic!
Activism. What activists are doing, and we're going to learn a lot from listening to them. And then I'm going to do some work on starting from scratch.
Wow, what a great idea!
Moving from being a complete slave to the system to becoming an activist, and how do you do it? What are the stages you go through? It's not something you do overnight.
No, absolutely. It's definitely a process, and you just do what you're comfortable with and what your strengths are. Everyone has...
and we're all evolving. Activism is not like, boom, I'm an activist. It's a multi-layered thing, and it's like being a painter or a musician or any sort of art. It's a never-ending learning experience, creative experience.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be new things that come up. Oh, there's an idea. Oh, well, why don't we try this? Why don't we try that? You see, that's the great thing about activism. It rekindles our imagination and our creativity.
And connecting with others when you finally meet those people that are vibing on the same stuff.
Well, that's it.
That is just magical, You're just like, oh, I found my people. Yay! Oh, yay! There you are!
There's a few others out there. Yes.
Yes, tons of people out there. And what I've heard a lot with, working with the people on Civilian Action Team is that a lot of us feel like, oh, I just feel like I'm by myself. But when you connect into this web and this network, and then you you extend yourself, and you just realize, wow, no, there's a ton of people out there. And then it just makes you go, yeah, I can do this, work harder. And yeah, it's amazing. I think that we're getting ready to definitely turn a corner here.
Yeah, we're recreating family. We're recreating the human community, and that's perfect. That's what we need to do, and more people have to give it a chance. I talk to a lot of people. Most people aren't there yet, and they feel like, oh God, how am I? They actually understand how screwed up things are, but they can't see a way through the maze.
Yeah, that's the next step kind of thing. Like, well, we know
they're stuck.
But what do we do? It's like, yeah, it just seems like it can be just overwhelming. That's true. There's a million things, but again, just kind of resonate to what is calling you, and you don't really. Yeah, I think that the universe kind of just tells you if you're tuned into it, where you're meant to be.
Yeah, no, you have to take that sort of what's the word I'm looking for? That risk. You have to say, okay, no, and I'm not going to get. See, when you give up on the Mother Earth, you pretty much give up on yourself, and you become depleted. But when you love the Mother, you get energy. And you may not notice it. It might be when you're sleeping at night or whatever. You develop this, and you've got it in you in spades. I mean, you just develop this. I am determined to make a difference attitude, and it's beautiful to see.
Thank you.
Well, I love it. I mean, you've only been how long have you had this thing going, and you're already doing international stuff? It's just phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, it's just kind of doing itself. Yeah. Let's see, Olga and I and Alexandra May Hunter we've been just kind of talking a lot about what are the steps we need to take. Because, we're just trying to figure out, again, this methodology of how do we get into those offices and transform ourselves as a movement, as a protest. And, what's the next step to protest? And that is getting your demands met. And that's where we're at. We want to go that last yard, and this is what we want, and demand it. And believe me, when enough of us are in those offices and the constituents show up, and even just hearing your voice on the phone for less than 30 seconds a day, it makes a difference. It has made a difference. And like I said, when I was in those offices, I'm going to be going and continuing to go into those offices because. I just, that's how you build relationships, and
that is the key. Relationships. You're just starting, but when I was a lobbyist, when I was in my early 20s and I was in school, I was an activist. When I was just finishing I spent an extra year on my master's degree because I did so much activism. And what you find is you get to know the people who work for the politicians. Uh-huh. And we used to actually, when in Canada, I could walk right into the Parliament building and I could actually have dinner with these guys. So you get to know them. And they're all into the same stuff. I mean, they may not have the same perspective. They may believe a lot of the lies, but you just get to know them. And I find most of them are actually they're trained to think. And they're trained to be good at discussion and not getting angry because they're fairly effective communicators. So you just slowly work on them, and a lot of them would come around, but it takes a year at least.
Yeah,
I just made about 18 months. I was doing this, and a lot of them, it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a people person. Like I said, I'm a dog walker, and so I could pretty much talk to anybody, and I enjoy it to hear people's stories and to find out what they think. And I think that that's key at this point. And from what our experience was, each time it gets better because I'm meeting the people again, and the campaign gets more fine tuned. And this time was great because there was other people from around the world making the calls and sending the emails, and that makes a difference when you go in the offices because they're like, oh yeah, civilian action team, okay, cool, 14 countries, wow. And then, I was able to say, yeah, actually, geoengineering was banned in 2010 by 193 countries in the United States.
That's really important to tell people. Let's get into that because that's crucial. Yeah, that's your baseline. That's your strongest point.
Yeah, that is, Brian. That's essential to understand. And there's many smoking guns here. It's not like, we've won the case. And basically, the position is that in 2010, at the United Nations, 193 countries banned geoengineering in order to protect the biodiversity on the planet. And in other words, they knew that these programs would be harmful. And then there's other issues as far as liabilities in terms of the United States knew very well that they would be liable and vulnerable to private citizen litigation. And I have a letter with exactly those words, private citizen litigation. And that is sort of the spur for what we're doing. That's sort of the intention behind it, creating that's our center of gravity, approaching it from a legal perspective and really trying to take the legal steps. We know that the system is flawed, but does that mean we're going to be flawed? I don't think so. I think that we should take a stand and take this in the direction of morality and where it needs to go in the rule of law. And that's what civilians need to do. That's not going to happen from our so-called leadership. The military, we're on a slippery slope here because the military is pretty much in charge of foreign policy, and they have, the media is filtered through the Pentagon. So, let's just be honest. Again, going back to what I was saying, we can't liberate ourselves until we eliminate this organizing principle, because it's destroying us. And then you bring the UN mix, and it's getting us from the inside because, and I realize I'm jumping around, but it's important for people to understand that the UN has a process that's already in place called the Climate Action Plans in the United States and all around the world. And the 37 states in the United States have already adopted climate action plans. And what does that mean? That means global control at a local level. Okay, well, I'm not even an expert in this, Brian. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm learning as much as I can and trying to understand as much as I can about this. It's called Sustainable Development 2016, or actually 2030. I mean, they rebranded it. They've rebranded it several times, and then it was Agenda 21. But basically, it's this world government thing that was signed by George W. Bush, George Sr., in 1992. And so he basically signed away sovereignty of the United States, and then was all like, okay, so I'm signing away sovereignty. And that kind of slipped by everybody because we were all sleeping in the 90s. And so...
Well, actually, Jolie, legally, the United States, and this is what we're talking about today, and this is another discussion, and I really encourage you to listen in 2 weeks when I get this super great guy on who understands the legal history, not just the United States, but the whole planet.
Sweet.
Set up. The United States, Canada, we were never, ever independent. That's an illusion painted by our oppressors to make us believe we are. We never have been independent.
Right.
Yeah. But, it happens, but what's happening is that we're actually consolidating more and more forces, and it's not good. And like I say, the natural way for us to live is in small communities that are controlled locally, because you cannot have a democracy that works when you got 300 million people. How can everybody's voice be heard in a crowd of 300 million people?
Well, yeah, I mean, and we also, I think that's a good point that, you want to have local, you want to have your local control. You don't want interference from the federal government. The federal government is there to protect us. That's what their function is. They're supposed to be protecting us and protecting individual liberty. That's what their function is. Now, what has happened is the military-industrial complex is in charge. And they have been. They shot, Kennedy, was going to put us back on get rid of the Federal Reserve and get us out of this, the whole, he was going to bring us out of Vietnam.
He created his own currency versus having
he was not perfect. He was another politician again, but again, like, we had a coup. And so we're living with the emergence of and the evolution of what that was. And we never healed as a civilization, as a humanity after that assassination. And again, it's like 9/11. We never healed after that. It's just like, it just stinks. And it's just, we just keep perpetuating it. Why? Because the same organizing principle is at the wheel. And it's not loyal to the people of the world. It's loyal to this infrastructure at the UN. And so again, I mean, finding the root system of this, and I agree with you. I love the idea of people being able to have the freedom to live as they choose without having other people decide for them, as long as you don't harm anybody and you don't steal from other people. We won't have to do that if everyone has a guaranteed income. We won't have poverty. We won't have that sort of problem.
It will certainly lessen it a lot. And we won't have people selling drugs to live.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, you won't have
crime will go away pretty much.
Right now, it's meant to create desperation and fear, and what does that create? It's just a perpetuating cycle, and so yeah, we don't have to go that way. There's plenty of options, but I do think that we do have to address the military-industrial complex and the prison-industrial complex and the things that are very real in our world. That we have to talk about them. We have to confront them and transform ourselves as a civilization. We can do it. I mean, the military, they are us. Again, as our brothers and sisters. It's just like, but they are dependent, because they need...
It's a job. Everybody I've talked to in the military who finally figured out what the heck they were doing, they all say the main reason they went into it was because it was a job.
Yeah,
exactly. And some of them make pretty good money, and plus it's a great way to get around the world. When you're in the U.S. military, you've got bases in 175 different countries.
Yeah, I mean, that's
basically a travel pass.
Yeah, it is, but it's just it's organized violence, and that's that's not acceptable. I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's been glorified, and that's part of the problem is the industrialized violence. We don't have to have it. We wouldn't need it. Again, if we had education, we wouldn't need it. We wouldn't need prisons. Again, it's just like people don't have the opportunity. If your only opportunity is to go be cannon fodder or bullet magnet or whatever, or you'll be a criminal because you won't have any opportunities. I mean, this is what's being created by this system, because this system is all set to serve the 1%. It's based on an economic system, and if you're special enough, you have special privileges provided to you by your economic status. And then those of us who have to work to try to provide for ourselves, we're on our own, aren't we? We're lucky, and the thing that saves us is our family and our friends and our network and communities. I mean, these are the people that are really there for us. So, yeah, I think we always have to be finding ways to just try to work together and transform ourselves. We just can't wait for any experts, and we can't wait for the government to try to figure it out. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm saying to people who are listening and maybe are feeling alone and depleted, the solution, the next step for you is to get involved with good people who are trying to make a difference, because they will listen to you if you're having a bad day. We'll talk to you. We don't just talk about activism when you're an activist. You talk about everything. You talk about the whole realm of human activity and what you're doing, and you become friends. It's great. It's an awesome way to make new friends. It's an awesome way to feel good about yourself, and the best thing about it is it actually gets you out of that depressing feeling like, oh God, what am I going to do? I mean, I meet so many people who are still burdened with that, but it really does, because you're doing what you can do. I mean, there's only so much we can do. It takes time to develop a huge movement that's going to change all these things.
Yeah.
At least you're doing your bit. You're doing what you can do, and then at that point you can say, hey, I'm a good person. I've done what I can do, and we have to be patient and wait for other people to get on board.
Yeah, and also celebrate these people that you find. I think we sometimes get discouraged because of all the people that are not woken up yet, but sometimes that means that we miss out on the people that, like you said, they did show up, and here they are, and they come back every day, and they're ready to, shake the foundation some more. And you're right. That's a really good point. you'll meet your people. There's other people out here that are just doing the work, and they want to know your story, and you'll have fun talking on the phone or Skyping with people all over the world that
develop skill sets, how to write, how to speak to politicians, how to speak to people on the phone. And you're just constantly learning because you're reading laws, you're reading, it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never bored.
Yeah, impossible. There's no time for that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're sitting around all day and watching TV and just trying to fit in your time or doing some dead-end job, you got to do something to pick up your spirits. And that, to me, I find that's the greatest thing about activism is it really keeps me focused and feeling good about my life and knowing that I'm doing as much as I can do. But I'm learning more and more how to ignite other people. Like this guy I was just telling you about. He said, I said, well, can you do me a favor and just share my posts on Facebook? I said, do that. I said, if you don't have time or I don't have time, I don't have energy. I said, just share my post. And I said, you know what? You might hit on someone who's going to become the top activist who ever lived. And you might turn him on to this issue.
Right.
Because a lot of his friends are younger, right? Because I have, people on Facebook, they're older, they're younger. A lot of them are younger, which is really need more young people in this. So, there's always something that we can do to encourage and get people motivated and just find something that they can do. Something that they can't kind of like say, oh, I can't do anything. Well, no, there is something you can do. And that's kind of the approach I take with people. Find a way to get them to do something moving in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just do your own research, share the posts, make calls. It's been so fun, like meeting people in different countries, like I said, and like trying to figure out how to communicate. So you're like, oh, the translate button, that's awesome. So you're like able to have discussions. It's just like one of the amazing things of the internet. And yeah, we're trying to make more friends. We'd like to make friends with people in China and Russia. We want to include more countries in the civilian action team. So if anyone hasn't been included and your country's not on there, definitely contact us because we want this to be like a worldwide movement that is able to kind of transpose across different issues even, because like the geoengineering issue, that's connected to the fracking and the GMO and the smart meter and the Gwen Tower. This technology is all related. And so it's not like a single issue that we're dealing with. Again, it's multiple issues. And we have, different complex systems, the military, the prison, the food, the media, just too many of those things. So a lot of opportunity, again, to like transpose ourselves and, transform ourselves because we don't have to be satisfied with what there has been for 2,000 years. And I think you're right. There's people out there that do have the new ideas and will be able to help us. Because again, we're like a human civilization. It's like a computer program. It's like we're running a program from thousands of years ago when really we need a program for 2016, 2017. We need to start thinking like the United States military did, owning the weather in 2025. Okay, they were doing that in 1996. It's going pretty good for them. What have we been doing? We've been like electing the same kind of people in the system that's been perpetuating itself over hundreds of years. So yeah, we need an upgrade. We have to be thinking outside of the context of like these archaic systems and think about, yeah, you're right. These young people, they already have the kind of mindset and understanding of the way that networks work and systems work and how to, build friendships and stuff. And this is the kind of thing that we need, not like programming them with like Common Core and stuff to like brainwash them. I think these kids are coming in with the new ideas, and what we have to do is make the world safe for them and then get out of the way so that they can help us transform ourselves as a civilization.
Do you know the homeschool community is it's becoming more and more popular because more like with the vaccine issue and parents not vaccinate my kids. If
Oh,
it means keeping them out of school, fine. I'll keep them home.
yeah.
We'll keep them home. And this is the community that we're not trying to connect with enough. I actually noticed a woman that I know I met at Suzanne's event there a few months ago, and she had gone to a seminar of homeschooling because she wants to homeschool her own kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she went to this seminar on homeschooling. So there's an area or a bunch of or a group of people that we have to connect with more because the people that homeschool their kids, I've met quite a few of them, and they're all really cool. They're all really aware. If you want to homeschool your kids, you know that there's issues in the schooling system.
Yeah.
And it's an indoctrination system that basically disempowers us and basically teaches you that the government will do everything and the government's always right and don't ever question the government.
Right.
What they're doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
we're here, look, you've got a beautiful classroom, you've got a nice teacher. This is all provided by the government. We must be nice people. So the indoctrination system is very powerful, and God, I mean, kids are in school for 13, 12, 13 years. Okay, coming up to a break, Jolie.
Sounds good. Yeah. Catch you after the break.
Okay. Welcome one and all back to I'm Nature. I'm your host, Brian Porter. I have a great activist with me, Jolie Diane. And Jolie, I just got to put in my plug for the station now because everyone, we're listening to freedomslips.com, Revolution Radio, one of the, or the most popular listener-supported web-based radio station on the planet. We have 2 studios running 24/7, about 90 shows a week. The archives, for $5 a month, you can get access to all those shows, all the archives, and that's beyond your capacity to hear them all. But we always pick our favorite shows, the ones that we find most interesting and informative. So I always suggest to people that they subscribe to the archive if you're listening to my show, and we also have all sorts of seed packs and. I'm not sure if there's any deals going on right now, but if you go to the site and you look at the donate section, you'll see all the different types of things that we offer. And this is one of the few places on earth where you're going to get the truth. You're going to get nobody here is censored. Apart from flat earthers, there's no other topic here that we can't discuss, and I have no issue with that. But yeah, it's a great network, and it's full of great hosts, and they're all very, very well educated and informative. Okay, Jolie. So where do we leave off? I'm just trying to remember. We were talking about because you're doing so many things. I mean, we're sort of going in between your geoengineering campaign or anti-geoengineering campaign and your presidential run here. So, but I want to get back to. The point he made about Vladimir Putin, and when I said he could be an ally, I didn't mean so much in the broader political sphere. I meant in the geoengineering movement. Because he has admitted that he saw heavy spraying in Syria when they were there, right? So
Okay.
You brought that up, and that was something I highlighted on my page. I don't know if you noticed that. Do you remember when he said that?
I have to say that I don't recall that, and I haven't been super good at keeping up with the Facebook. But yeah, I mean,
there's so much going on. I spend about 12 hours a day, activism, and a lot of it's research because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I try to cover all the issues. So I'm busy.
Wow.
So the fact that you're, there's a lot going on in geoengineering too. So you're going to miss stuff. I predicted this. I said that about 6 months ago. I said on another show. I says Vladimir Putin is going to be the first world leader to mention geoengineering, and he mentioned it. Now he said only in Syria, but he brought it up, and that was I thought that was a good move. It shows us he's open to talking about the issue.
Yeah, I think that's definitely encouraging. No question about it. And that's what we have to see more of. I mean, I think that what's happening here is that the plans are becoming exposed People are noticing what's happening, and what did they say? When the people lead, the leaders will follow. And as civilians, we have to step up and do that, because again, what we're confronting is the military-industrial complex, and we have to realize, okay, so all of our information is processed through the Pentagon, and it's artfully presented to the public, and that's why most folks, you would expect that you would get truth on the TV, but it's really a form of mind control, one of them. And so that's the way that society's been able to be manipulated. And so our way out of that is to stop collaborating with this system. And as you were saying earlier, start to think of ways to reconstruct and redesign what we want. And do it. Don't wait for the experts to come out. We can't wait for the politicians. Yeah, I think it's a good sign about Putin, but again, I think that it's part of this architecture that's limited for him, because I think that he's still confined and constricted by his financiers. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know all about his financiers. And I have a lot.
He's shocking a lot of people. He's actually had whole press conferences about saying he's going to bring down the New World Order.
Sure, yeah, I'm all for that, and I'm all for. He's also been doing good work about the GMOs, like doing the organic farming, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I think that there's definitely. I'm just trying to look for bridges and for hope.
Exactly.
And I think that that's a really good one, and we have to find those and celebrate those and rally around that, because
find people who live in Russia that can help get the message.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. This is what we have to do: is make friends, build alliances, build relationships with people. We don't have to wait for the politicians to do it. As people, as a united family, we could just. We're doing it already. We're just saying, no, we're not going to comply with this. We don't consent to geoengineering and a whole host of other things, but we'll start with geoengineering because we can all agree that we'd like to breathe, and we'd like, it is good if you're a breather and you have air. And so, yeah, it's a win-win. And yeah, we just have to take steps to claim it. Again, we've been beaten down as a civilization for millennia. And it's really hard to fathom that you could be free. And, think about that, because in America, it's a tax system, and, it's sad. People get upset about it. It's like people go to jail for tax evasion. People, it's like you can't eat, but you got to pay your taxes, and it's crazy. And then you have it's illegal. Probably, if people haven't seen it, they should see From Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo. Really important. You've probably seen that. I've seen it a few times. I always want to see it again, because, it's like he asks the question, where's the law that says that you have to pay taxes? And guess what? There is not one. So we do not have to pay taxes. It's a whole scam. And again, this is one of the things I'm addressing in my campaign.
Good. Well, that's where this whole thing around the legalities and how you do things with your children, and whether or not it's probably best you don't register your child with the state.
Yeah.
I know someone who got around it. She had home births, and she never registered them. So now they're free children. It's beautiful.
That's smart, yeah. Yeah, I was really lucky because I got to spend a lot of time talking with my grandfather. And that's something that we don't often get to do in our culture, because we we don't get as close to our grandparents as we should. So anyway, I got to speak with my grandfather up until he didn't pass until I was in my 20s. So I was able to have really deep conversations with him. And he only went to school through, 8th grade, and then he had to work because I'm not sure what happened to his father, but his mother, my great grandmother, she was working. She owned a dressmaking shop, and and then he had to work, and he had a brother, and done. But he was a thinker, and he always looked very concerned to me, and he was just like. One of his main messages was just we should not be having wars, and he would pick up Time magazine and he would say something like look at this, look at be like Jimmy Carter or somebody on the cover like that, and they might have been selling weapons to Iran, and that's the same thing that's happening now. We're selling, because the United States is selling weapons to anybody instead of trying to help people get food and help get clean water and clean up the disasters. The United States is selling arms. But understand that that's a CIA principle. That's the military industry. That's the Trilateral Commission. That's the Council on Foreign Relations. That's the UN component and the structure that's been established there over decades and decades. So that's nobody's fault. That's alive. That's been going on, but we can correct it. I believe that that's why we're here. And a lot of people are doing the heavy lifting and have done the heavy lifting. And so, yeah, as long as we just, continue on and keep calling that into question, we could totally flip this paradigm. There's no question about it. I mean, we're doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have to try. We can't support the dark side. That's always the bottom line for me. But hey,
right.
Another idea for you. One of the reasons I have a show is to give other activists ideas. Okay?
Sweet.
Yeah. So there's a woman. She's a Russian. Her name is Elena Nanushi. Do you know her?
How do you spell the last name? Or you can text it to me. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no, don't write it down. I'm just telling you about this woman. She's doing a sign campaign with Suzanne Mayer. Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, she's already done one sign. I gave her some money a couple times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. She's a real lovely lady. She's an incredible woman, actually. She's got 3 PhDs. It's amazing.
Wow.
80. She, believe it or not, because she's she's one of the best swim coaches in the world. She works with Olympic athletes, and, she does also, I don't even know how she has time for activism. She's so busy running her businesses. But she taught a friend of Vladimir Putin's kid, all right, swimming.
Oh.
So she has connections to the highest levels so we have to work with her. I've been trying to get her, to get a word into, over to Putin. So that's someone you should really try to get to know well.
Yeah, thank you. Because that's what we have to do is build bridges. And I'm convinced I would like to also meet and reach out with Princess Basma from Saudi Arabia.
I asked Patrick Roddy about that when he was on.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and that's the kind of alliances to establish, like not just for a long period of time, so that we can connect with the human family outside the context of these corrupted systems. And really, because there's decent, beautiful, loving people all over the world, and our governments would have us try to make us believe that there's something wrong with the people instead of the governments. And that's what we have to get clear, is that the 99% of the working class, there's nothing wrong with us. We've just been enslaved and we're used to it. That's sad. But what we need to realize as a collective is, there's people and awesome just things happening all the time, and we need to focus energy on those. Turn off the TV. That's just meant to brainwash you. Don't watch TV. That's not good for you. You need to spend more time with your family or your dog or your cat or get a fish or something, Good.
I think everyone should call you and get to meet you.
I would love that.
That would be the first step. If anyone who's feeling kind of like, oh man, I mean, the world's going to end. Well, no, it's not going to end. The world's been like this for a long time.
It has.
We've had nonstop war for the last 6,000 years. A lot of people have died for leaders who have sucked them into thinking they're fighting for something, and all they're doing is ingratiating their richness and their power. All these things that people have to deprogram themselves. But yeah, get a hold of Jolie. How do people get a hold of you, Jolie? What's the best way?
Just get up with me on Facebook. I'm Jolie Diane, and I'm from San Rafael, California. And definitely check in with me and connect. And also you can go to my Jolie Diane for President 2016. And
is that Facebook or
that's on Facebook. Yeah, I'm not gonna do any web pages or anything. I don't have time for that. I'm like you. Yeah. I'm always reading. I'm trying to keep up with some reading, and Yeah, that's unfortunately all I can have time for, and I'm not going to take any money from my campaign either, even if I win, because like I said, I'm going to set it up so no one has to worry about money anymore. So, but before that, for my campaign, I won't take any money. So if you like what I'm doing, and I do have like a little platform that I put together that, so that I could tell your listeners or our listeners about what I'm, some concrete plans and not just like, oh yeah, like 2 seconds
No,
ago I
you've got
decided.
an incredibly intelligent plan. You've got this document that says it's been outlawed. You're challenging everyone. You're testing water all over the world. I mean, you got to give yourself time. I mean, this is an extremely ambitious project, but you're moving ahead at a breakneck speed, in my opinion.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't think that there's a minute to waste. And yeah, so if people are into what we're trying to do, just share the campaign. The whole idea is to liberate the planet and stop the polluters. So yeah, it's I can just read these off to you.
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Just before you do that, I just want to let you know that Warren's joined us on the call. Warren's a regular guest on my show.
Oh, yay! Hey, Warren.
Warren, are you there?
Hi, guys.
Oh, there he is.
Hello. Glad to hear you, Jolie.
Oh, nice to hear you too. How you doing?
Okay, very good. It's springtime in the South, and we're busy every day trying to keep the farm going here.
Yeah, I guess you got to do that.
Yeah, he can't be an activist 24/7 like us, but he likes to help out. Hey, yeah, people, anyone listening, feel free to call me on my Skype, Porter 5611, BPORTER 5611. You'll get to meet Jolie, Warren, myself, and you don't even have to want to be an activist. Just call in and say hello, and I'll take anybody who wants to come in during the end of this, the last 45 minutes or so, or 40 minutes of our interview here. So, Warren, what do you think about Jolie's initiative?
Oh, I think it's terrific, especially the water. Especially the water, testing program. That is so important. They're having this big trouble up in what's the northern state up there where they're having the lead and mud and so forth in the water up there. They can't even drink it.
Yeah, the Flint. Yeah, it's outrageous. They haven't done anything to maintain the infrastructure at all. And then, so again, it's like the people that are working the hardest and they suffer the most because the government's not doing the job.
Exactly. So we have a lot of problems in the U.S. With good, clean, pure drinking water, as well as around the world. It's a worldwide problem, and it's a problem in many areas of the U.S. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point, Warren. And I think we have to really consider that, like in every single decision that we make going forward, because we do have the technology to clean it up.
Oh, sure.
That's without saying it's to clean up what's happening right now would be so much cheaper than continuing on many levels. Not only is it not sustainable just health wise, we can't exist with the current paradigm as it is, but it's just like it's going to be super cheap to heal the planet, heal ourselves. Super cheap. It's so easy. And we have the technology to clean the water. We just have to stop making things worse. So that means we have to stop with the nukes and clean up the nukes. And we have to stop with the geoengineering, for goodness sakes, because that's an easy fix. Like, that's one of those things, hey, let's think about this. If we don't add 500 million tons of particulates in the air, well, how much money is that going to save? But how much, of our, health is that going to save? It's impossible to maintain this just on a lot of levels. But first of all, I think just getting folks to look at it, acknowledge that it is happening, it is a problem. Let's look at the problem. Let's name the problem. It's like psychology. I mean, it's hard to deal with. It's scary info. It's not easy
Well,
info.
absolutely. I think was it Brian, was it you and I talking the other day with somebody about that the UN,
Yeah.
including the U.S., has signed the resolution to end geoengineering around the world, and everybody has signed in on it, but it's still going on. Nobody stopped it.
Yeah, well, that's a great point, Warren. And the U.S. was not a signatory on that legislation. And because they are like, and then when we didn't do it, guess what? Then China and Russia were like, well, if they're not doing it, then we're not doing it. You know, it's just so childish. That's what we're dealing with. We got to grow up.
Oh,
Okay?
really?
You know what I mean? I mean, for goodness sake, it's pollution, people. But again, it's like, how did it get to happen? It's just because the system's designed, you know, somewhere along the way, this is how the system is designed to pollute on us. And we can just as easily, once we identify, you know, the sources of it, we can stop it. And so we know that it's not coming from our state in the U.S., and we know...
Oh, it's not, excuse me, pollution.
You there, Warren? I think we lost him for a second.
Yes, we know. We know it's not coming from our side. It's coming really, I believe it's coming from the dark side.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Well, we know that the structure in place, the UN, all the NATO countries get geoengineering. So...
I'll say that again. All the NATO countries do what?
All the UN NATO countries, and this is important, all get geoengineering. Okay? Now, that is a willful violation of pre-existing U.S. law. So in other words, we already have laws on the books that protect the public health and safety and the environment. We already have them on the books. They've been on the books. But the reason that these military programs have not come into compliance and these major universities can do this research on our air is because they got to sidestep the regulations. They just got to ignore the environmental protections. And that's where we all have to say, no, look at military or Pope or Queen or whoever, UN. We don't care who you are. You can't break the environmental laws. So that's why as civilians, again, what we're doing is so important because we're in a war theater. We're in a war theater. We're, you know, like it or not, we think, oh, it's not going to affect us. Well, it's all us.
Absolutely. We all breathe the same air. It's all.
Yes, indeed. There it is. End of story.
We all breathing the same air, so we all. I read this several years ago that a molecule of air circles the Earth something like every, I don't know, what is it? I don't even know what it is, 6 months or a year or 2 years or something. I mean, the entire air, oxygen, molecules of air circulate around the Earth, on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And we just, we breathe the same air over and over.
Yeah.
And it has to be filtered. It has to be clean, and it has to be not polluted.
Exactly.
And not have poisons, blown in it. All the poisons that we know are in that stuff. It's just, as Alex Jones called it, the soft, slow kill, and it's terrible.
Hey, Warren, I want to ask Jolie a question here, because we talked a bit about this on the last time she was on. You were trying to raise money to pay for the water testing. How's that going?
Oh, yeah, we have a GoFundMe. Thanks. Yeah, we have a GoFundMe, and it is for Civilian Action Team Rain Tests by Jolie Diane. And if you go, you can give whatever you can if you're able to. And we're trying to raise money so that activists can just get their rain tested around the world. We're trying to collect a database of accredited labs because we do want to use people that are experts and well respected, so that we can have court admissible evidence. We're trying to get that together. I'm not really sure. I haven't really had time to keep up with it. I kind of just set it all up. Like, again, this is sort of like a new thing we just had this idea, and it's like, hey, that would be cool. Yeah, okay, let me do that. So I set that up, and it was just like, oh my God, I'm running.
Well, I mean, you've been running around, Paul.
Like,
yeah, but so what? Let people know how they can connect with that site.
Yeah, just go to the GoFundMe page, and if you look up Civilian Action Team Rain Tests by Jolie Diane, they will take you to the campaign, and I will also post a link. I'll send you a link for that so you can put it just in the context of the show and stuff. But that would be great, yeah, because what we're hoping is we can raise the cash, because it's like $125 to get the test over here, each test. And we just thought, you know what, we could put this baby to bed. Let's just get a bunch of tests really quick in all different places all over the world. And then, boom, we'll hit them all with notice. And this is the thing, then we're going to have our countries call out the UN together. And we can kind of get our countries to go, hey, you guys, we're on to you. Are you working for us, or are you working for the UN? If you're working for us, cool, then let's protect our airspace. And let's help get together with these other nations to stop these programs, because these are harmful. This is causing climate changes and extreme weather. But again, here we go. We're going straight to the Air Force. We're going straight to the military, because these are military programs. Their apparatus will not function. Okay, but here's the choices. After 9/11, they grounded most of the planes, and what happened? The skies cleared up. So we know that aircraft emissions are what the EPA and what the government does not want to talk about. And so that is what we...
And the Earth cooled off too, eh?
It did. We have no idea how wonderful life will be when we have our sun that we need to live, and we have our air that we need to live, and we have clean water. And this is our birthright. And these people in the military, it's not the military per se, it's the organizing principle. Because I understand everybody's just trying, not everyone understands, it's compartmentalized. So these people think that they're saving somebody. They don't know, because that's how they keep it. It's compartmentalized. That's how projects like the Manhattan Project happen, and that's how this project is happening. Because it's a military program, it's compartmentalized. And they know that when the public finds out about geoengineering and the risk and the deliberate, willful violating of our protections is occurring, it's going to change the dynamic and the outcome of where we're going, our direction, because I really think that the public will, if we intend to create a safe place for the kids and our seniors and everyone and all the wildlife, and protect that. We need to do what we need to do. And that is confront the military, confront the science, and take out this infrastructure that's based, as we said, on the last few thousand years of just, it's just darkness. And we need to put that baby to bed. We need to shut the lid on that dustbin of history, and we need to just take the sledgehammer to that system and just...
Well, we don't really have a choice anymore.
We don't.
If we continue to... we've already lost half the planet. 94% of the seeds are gone. We're getting close, folks. So we don't really have a choice.
We don't. And the nature of the planet is, again, and I want to stress this, because a lot of people will be like, oh, we're losing species, we're this, we're that. Well, okay, the fact that we're here is an honest miracle. So with each day that we are blessed with, we have the responsibility, and with you all the way, to protect the earth and to make the world safe for the kids, the children, and whatever that takes. And we can do something amazing. We have the ability to do that. We have the intelligence. We have the technology to do that. We have the young people and the seniors. We have to listen to our seniors and get guidance and wisdom and learn our history, learn about who we are. We need to make the effort to learn and as you said, to connect with others. I mean, some of us feel like really isolated, but there are others out there that feel the same way. So just keep, and like Brian said, call me.
Drop in, say hi.
Call me, say hi, Jolie.
Hi. Call her,
Oh,
send
join
one of our groups. So let's just reinforce this idea. Water test, best way to do it. There's funding. If they go to the Civilian Action Team, that's on Facebook. Did you have a Facebook webpage?
Yeah, go to Civilian Action Team on Facebook, and it's a group. Request to join. We are looking for people that want to get on board with us and, make some calls and find out. Like, we're just learning, how to interact with and interface with our leadership and our policymakers. So if you're interested in, finding out how that works and making some calls, making some emails, finding out, the latest information about geoengineering and the science and, because we're also studying the GWEN technology, the smart meter technology, it's the fracking technology, the GMO. Like I said, it's all connected. And it's very important for parents, grandparents, professionals, academics, people in the health fields to tune into this issue. Turn off the TV, tune into this issue, really do some research. And then, get your tests done and, in your communities, and then get in these offices and say, look, I should not have any aluminum in here. And we have the SRMG aluminum footprint in here, in this rain. We got to put that on them. That is their responsibility. That's not our responsibility. And this is, this is unacceptable. And we're in the process of collecting our data and information for who knows how huge of a litigation, class action. I don't know what the end result is. I know that we're on offense. We're going to pile these tests on their desks, and we're going to demand that they take action. And, it's gonna, the line in the sand. I mean, are you going to protect us? Is this a federal program or a UN program? I'm more inclined to believe that it's a UN program, and that's why I'm saying wake up, please everyone. Because if it's a UN program, that means that we have lost sovereignty in being able to protect ourselves, and who's protecting us?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was a coup.
Well, let's switch to another topic now. Something that's really new in the news is the fact that Donald Trump looks like he's probably going to become the next president. I don't think Hillary has a hope in hell of winning. Once he's up against her, she's the Democratic nominee.
Well, I'm going to be running against Trump, too.
He's going to level her.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm not.
Let's assume you don't get elected, and I'm sure.
Wait. As an activist, I have to respond to this because I'm not here for the politics. I'm here as an activist, and let me call out Donald Trump right now.
Okay.
Okay, I will not support anyone that supports the violence. I mean, he's supporting more torture. He's supporting waterboarding. Here's someone who has never worked and has bought off politicians for getting his wealth. Okay, this is not one of us. This is a friend of the Clintons. I want to be really clear in this. I didn't want to run for president. I'm not running for president. I am standing up for the last shred and hope that we have of being free. Do you think Donald Trump is going to make us free? No, that's a death sentence. Do you have any friends that are Muslims? I do. And I already fear for their safety. And it already pisses me off that there's this air of this, like, I don't approve of this. Like, I was taught in America that we are the melting pot and that we welcome all the different kinds of people in the world. And we don't have discrimination policies. And all I've seen lately, and correct me if I'm wrong, but hear about the immigrants and how they have to do this and they that and blah, blah, blah. So that's my feeling on the whole Trump thing. I think, the guy has some good ideas, and I will say that we wouldn't disagree on everything. But as an activist that's trying to get Guantanamo closed, that's trying to prosecute Clinton and Bush and Obama and reinvestigate 9/11 and really bring the truth to the table, I can't listen to anybody that's going to condone waterboarding or force feeding. The Guantanamo should be shut down. And I have, you know what? I have a big problem with that. The military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex. And a white man talking about waterboarding and acting like he has some sort of entitlement to do this to someone or to condone torture. No, that needs to be called out. And I realize that I'm getting a little intense here, but I do have skin in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have skin in it.
Oh,
and
no,
I
I
know
know.
about the system, and it makes me angry when I hear someone like him who should be trying to unite people talking about, you know what, don't talk about my Muslim friends like that. I have friends from all over the world and all walks of life, and I want to hear somebody that's going to bring us together. That's all. That's what I want to see from Trump. Don't you dare try to use this and also, bring in the military, and, that is just messed up. Maybe he'll turn around. I don't know. Maybe he'll change his tune. But that's my take on it, because I'm real. I'm real like that.
Yeah.
Not going to let the incarceration just continue without calling that out. That's mostly people of color and communities of color that are suffering. Good God. Okay. Enough of that rant.
Well, I happen to think that Warren has a different opinion of Donald Trump.
Go for it, Warren.
Yeah.
I used to work at Trump Tower, actually. I was a hostess there in Terrace 5.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that located?
It's in the Trump Tower on the 5th floor.
No, but where's the Trump Tower?
In New York City.
I'm a Canadian.
It was in New York City. I took the train from Brooklyn when I lived in Brooklyn. And this would have been in the 80s, late 80s.
Aren't there like 20 Trump Towers now?
Yeah, there probably are. Yeah, but I was a hostess in there. I never saw Donald Trump or anything. But I guess he was kind of busy at the time with other things. Other drama in the news. But yeah, I mean,
Warren, do you want to make a comment on Trump? Where'd you go, Warren?
I don't. I'm not here to argue politics. I'm here to try to clean up the air and the water.
I heard that. Yeah, I'm the only one getting political there.
Well, I'm just saying, if you don't get elected, would you approach Donald Trump about this issue, and how would you do it, Jolie? Well,
that's a good question. That's a really good question. Of course, I'd be open to talking to anyone about it if they want to know the truth. Because I'll talk to anyone about it.
He said some good things about vaccines.
Here's the thing. You know what? Trump has no power. It's the problem here is that the CIA is the organizing principle, okay? And the military-industrial complex, that's the Pentagon. Donald Trump, and this is what Frank Zappa said, politics is like the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex. So even if Trump got elected, just like was Ronald Reagan got elected, was that good for America? We went not for the Nicaragua people, not for the people that were murdered by people from the School of the Americas. I mean, the military-industrial complex has been full speed ahead. So again, we have to look at what are the effects on here. And again, if you have someone like Donald, I think that we have to look for solutions. And the solution, in my mind, is the system has to be broken. And that has to be within the who's holding power, who's running things. It's the organizing principle. It's the banking systems, the cartels, the Vatican, the Queen, Washington D.C., and the UN.
There's 1,700 groups of people living pretty much independent of the system. I know that they're still tied in somewhat through land agreements and whatnot. I think that this is the seed of change. These people, we've got to get them active in local politics, though, because if you're just living on your own off the system, eventually this system, which is so corrupt, is going to come after you. It's going to pollute everything on the planet.
Yeah,
you have to work together with these people who have found a way out of the rat race, which is I think it's the first step.
I agree. I love the idea, and if there wasn't, again, it's like if there wasn't the politics and the, what you're saying, that eventually they're trying to take everything. If you don't get involved in protecting the air, in the water. I mean,
well, they always thank me when I talk to them. They say, well, thank you for trying to help the general issues, the bigger issues. And I say, well, yeah, I'm glad you're thanking me, but we all have to work together. You're living off the land. You're living the best life of anyone. You must have the energy and the stamina to help us, because eventually, and the other thing is that some of the states and cities are trying to take these places down. They're throwing parents in jail sometimes for growing crops on their land, gardens in their front. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Did you hear the story about that woman who had her kid taken away because she complained to the school about chemtrails?
No, I did not hear that.
Mm-hmm. That happened this week.
Oh, goodness.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, that is unbelievable. And I wonder if that has to do with because they started making a big deal about climate deniers. And I wonder if this is sort of tied into, they're trying to control the narrative of what is happening. And it requires people to maintain the silence that they've been maintaining. But once people start questioning the geoengineering, the solar radiation management, because the solar radiation management, you can go to Wikipedia, and then no one can. That's an undebatable. So
there's like 50 companies doing it privately now.
Yeah, yeah, weather modification services. Yeah, it's a big business, and this is the thing. It was banned in 2010. The United States and then China and Russia did not sign it. And then, like you said, all these companies are making a profit by providing weather modification services and so forth. And at the expense of us all, because, again, when you pollute, you're polluting. And as Warren was saying, it's all our air. No one can avoid it. It's like you can do your work to, like, eat healthy and try to, nourish your mind and be around people that are positive and make good lifestyle choices to try to take care of yourself. But then what do you do about the air and the water? That's on us. Like, it's up to us. We can protect it, but I think this is a huge thing. Like what you said, in these awakened communities and the people that are really in harmony with themselves and the planet, it will be a real blessing to have them join us, because, they're centered in the right place, the right energy, and also it would just be good to have that focus on, where we need to go as far as...
Jolie, are they organized, these people? You wouldn't believe the conferences they have. They have their own news network. They have their own magazines, book publishing system, you name it. These people have got their act together.
Wow, yeah. Great. I mean, I think it's an opportunity, and I think it's wonderful that you're creating bridges like that. And it's essential. I mean, we just have to build bridges with different communities, and I like your idea of, like, getting us all, different environmental groups, just connecting wherever possible, especially with the GMOs and the fracking people. And just wherever possible, try to make those connections, because, again, our issues are all connected, and we're all breathers. We just got to recognize that the geoengineering paradigm is simply the engineering paradigm applied to the climate, as it's applied to food, as it's applied to people now. They're doing DNA stuff and all kinds of weird science experiments on people, and and there's the synthetic biology aspect of the geoengineering. I mean, it's just out of control. So yeah, we have to interrupt that. It needs a human interruption, human intervention. Yeah. So I think that's what's happening. A lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are finding out, oh my goodness, this is geoengineering, and who knew? Because normal people don't think like that. Normal people are just doing their jobs and loving their families and loving life and trying to contribute. They wouldn't think that there were some weirdos, some scumbags messing with the weather. I mean, who would think of that?
Jolie, I think I found someone else to join the call.
Hello, can you hear me?
Awesome.
Yes. Jerry Bear?
Yeah, this is Jerry Bear. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Just
You're
in my
nice and
mind.
bassy.
Pardon me?
You're very bassy.
I'm readjusting my mic, and so I haven't really tested it out. So
That's good.
I'm testing it out now. Bassy, huh? Count Basie style?
Yeah.
Count bases.
Is it coming through real low at your end, guys?
Pardon me?
Good.
You're good, man. You're good. So, Jerry, what do you want to say to Jolie, my
I'd just like to say that you can't. Trump is not a politician. Trump is a maverick. Trump is a businessman. Trump is somebody that says what's on his mind, like Jer Bear. He doesn't read from a teleprompt. And also, I'd like to say that, he doesn't want to lose all his money that he has, and he's not a politician, like I said, and he's backed up by a Jewish aristocratic family that has his children have married into. He's and I think he's the best thing out there right now for what America needs, because we haven't had a leader or anybody step up like him. Now, as far as the Muslims and all that retrograde you're trying to say, Miss Jolie, I'd like to say that he just wants the border to stop and go back to the issues of how you come into this country the right way, not be flooded in the way the Obama administration has brought in all these people, done all this stuff with his, what do you call it when he signs all these laws into order with his presidential dictatorship.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You've got to give him a chance. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that, what you're saying, and I certainly, I sort of agree with Warren that I'm hesitant. Like, I am running for president, and because I can appreciate that, again, that we're probably going to disagree on this again, because I've been an activist, and so I'm looking at this from another way, and I don't think that politics is a solution here, because what's happening is the organizing principle is based on violence, and it's killing us. And so by participating in it, now I agree that we do need leadership, but I am unconvinced that we need to continue in a direction of violence.
I don't think
unconvinced.
Hillary will bring violence. I'm
running for president, and you haven't heard my. I haven't even gotten a chance to my 10-step program. So
Wait. Do you have 1 million voters, or do you have 1 million registered?
That's not the point. It's not the point. I'm not going to concede. See, because the thing is, I want to stop geoengineering, so that's on my platform. Okay, I want to stop taxes, so that's on my platform. I want to impose a guaranteed income. I'm going to redesign the military and in a fashion that's going to protect the United States. I agree with what you said, though. I agree that the Obama administration has failed us in.
Well, they're all puppets.
I agree with you on there. I think, but I want to just say that I want to make this distinction, because I don't disagree with you, and I'm not against Trump. Please don't get me wrong here. I'm very much for the human family, and I want to see somebody we need to stop the violence, as far as we can't be going into countries and inciting violence. Can
I say something then? That's why I do a lot of roundtables here. I don't have my own show. I do roundtables on the weekend.
Yeah.
And
I think that's great.
You're welcome to come join me. But I do the graveyard shift. I'd like to say this, though. This platform that Nighthawk gives us is what I express here, and I'm here for the human consciousness of the global community.
Yeah, okay.
We'll share that it's the government and these tyrannical things that create all the racism. It's all them. And if we realize that, we will come at peace.
I agree. And the fact that we're able to get these round tables, that's what they don't want. And that's what's vital. And that's what I appreciate about being invited into this conversation. Brian, first of all, because I think that this is really the center of gravity that we have to have if we really are serious about creating a new paradigm and not just thinking about it, but doing the action that it takes in a meaningful action, an effective action, in a nonviolent and an intelligent way, which I think, we can do, because that's what they're not prepared for. They are not prepared for us being able to compose ourselves and exist and
let me ask you a question.
Our demands met. Mm-hmm.
Jolie, let me ask a question.
Sure.
How many of these incidences, like the thing, the gig in St. Louis, the gig in Maryland, all these things that related to violence, and just like I can't even think of the school now up there at Sandy Hill or Sandy, what is it?
Sandy Hook
in Connecticut.
Yeah.
You're talking about
all those incidents. Do you believe they were false? What do you call it?
False flags.
That's a good question, Gerber, because I think that is really important to look at that.
What about you?
I would say my feeling, and this is what I was discussing a little earlier, because I feel like until we address the organizing component, which is the CIA, in our society, and what impact that has as far as our organizing, well, let's look at what they do. They do terrorism, they blow things up, they kill people, assassinate presidents. Okay, we know this. So what are they doing operating inside the country? How are they involved with our military? Now, these are questions that every American has a right to know, but it's something that we haven't been able to talk about and discuss because it's been denied to us by not being covered in the media.
They move on.
Yeah, and so I think that you bring up a really good point, because every time that happens, there's a lot of doubt, and I think that this is the thing that disclosure is bringing. We're finding out more and more.
Well, you got to give heads up. One thing on Trump is that he has woke a lot of people up, and
yes,
I think it's been great. And so if that's the case and it has occurred, we stand behind him, and I just hope he doesn't say two oaths when he gets nominated as the president, because they say the one oath during the daytime out to the public, and then they may go say that one out to the...
Yeah, but you know what? And this is why I won't support him, because it's like this, Snoopy and Lucy is holding the football, and every time she's like, oh, I'm not going to pick it up, and not Snoopy, Charlie Brown.
Can I just, guys, we're getting near the end here. Can I just make a quick point? The best thing that Trump has said, there's two things. The vaccine, he doesn't like the vaccine and all the nonsense going on with the vaccines. Plus, he's saying he wants those missing 28 pages from the 9/11 report. Those are two very positive things. Okay.
And one other quick thing. They put the gold ribbonets around the American flag to represent a different representation, that it's corporate United States. Every time he had that taken off, it's take that off. I'm not going with that. That shows you he's for the American people.
Well, have a
little faith.
I'm not going to get behind him. I'm sorry, because I'm an activist, and it's just not who I am. But I appreciate.
But you like those two things.
I do like those two things. He's brought up good things. I agree with he's brought up good things, and that he has shaken it up, and he's woke people up, and I think that's positive. You haven't heard what I'm offering, and I know that I'm like a nobody. But here's the thing. Here's what I have to say about that. Do we want to just... I think it's great that people get involved, but the problem is right now we have a war criminal in the White House, and we're getting sprayed by geoengineering because federal programs are being violated by UN and NATO programs. And so that's what I'm...
God bless you, man. Thank you, Brian, for letting me come on. We got about 1 minute left. Thank you.
Great to see you, Gerber. Meet you, Gerber.
Come on to my...
I would be delighted, yeah.
When's your show on, Gerber?
My roundtables are on